My wife locked me out of our own apartment because she was on an important call. I walked away instead of fighting. The next day, when the neighbors confronted her in front of everyone, she completely lost it. And that's when I realized I was done. Hey, Reddit. So, my wife decided that privacy meant locking me out of our own apartment. Yeah, chain latch and all. At first, I thought it was just a one-time lapse in judgment. But turns out it wasn't just that. Before I explain how everything blew up, let me start from the beginning. My name's Mark. I'm 36, I work in IT for a small logistics company, and I live in a regular apartment building on the east side. Nothing fancy, but it's quiet and affordable. I've been married to my wife, Jenna, for 5 years. We used to get along so easily, but lately, it's felt like we just share a space, not a life. Thursday started like any other day. I stopped by the grocery store after work to grab milk, chicken, and a few frozen dinners. The sun was already setting when I got home. I was tired, hungry, and all I wanted was to sit down and relax. I reached our apartment door, balancing the bags in my hands, turned the key, and the door stopped an inch open. The chain was latched from the inside. At first, I figured maybe she'd forgotten I was coming home. I knocked lightly. "Hey, it's me." Her voice came through the door, calm, but cold. "I'm on an important call. Can you wait outside a few minutes?" I blinked. "Wait outside? I've got groceries here. I just need privacy," she said. "It won't be long." Privacy. From me. I set the bags down completely confused. We'd had arguments before, sure, but she had never locked me out. The hallway light above me buzzed and flickered. The kind of thing you don't even notice until you're forced to stand under it. The air smelled like someone's dinner mixed with detergent and dust, that usual old building mix. Through the door, I could hear her voice, steady, professional, that tone she used when she wanted to sound impressive. Then she laughed softly at something the person said. That laugh stuck with me. I knocked again. "Jenna, can I just drop the groceries in the kitchen?" "I said I'll be done soon," she replied, already irritated. So I waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. I leaned against the wall, scrolling through my phone, trying not to look like some guy literally locked out of his own place. The elevator dinged. A dog barked somewhere down the hall. The bag handles started cutting into my fingers. 15 minutes. The milk was warming up. I set the bags down again and rubbed my neck, staring at that tiny sliver of light under the door. That's when someone spoke behind me. "Everything okay over there?" It was the woman from across the hall, Samantha. We'd only talked a few times in passing. She was holding a gym bag, earbuds looped around her neck. Yeah, I said quickly. "Just locked out. My wife's on a call." She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, that's different. Want to wait in here? I've got fresh coffee." I hesitated, glancing back at my door. "Nah," she said, "it'll just be a few minutes." Samantha smiled a little. "All right. Doors open if you change your mind." She went inside, leaving her door slightly open. Warm light spilled into the hallway, and the smell of coffee drifted out. I hadn't even realized how cold and stale the air was where I was standing until then. I turned back to my own door. Still locked. Still her muffled voice on the other side. I sighed. I wasn't even angry yet, just unsettled. Waiting outside my own apartment didn't feel like something a married couple should be doing. It felt wrong in a quiet kind of way. 5 more minutes dragged by. The elevator opened again, and a kid with a skateboard stepped out. He saw me, then quickly looked down, pretending not to notice. I couldn't even blame him. I looked like some lost delivery guy. I knocked again, harder this time. "Jenna, it's been 20 minutes. Her voice came back instantly. I said soon. That tone, I knew it. I'd heard it before, just never this loud. The same tone she used when she didn't want to deal with me. When I'd ask if she wanted to eat together or talk after work, and she'd say, "Can we not do this right now?" Only this time, there was a locked door between us. I laughed quietly to myself, picked up the bags again. One of them had started to tear from the condensation. I thought about just leaving everything at the door and walking away. But I didn't. I just kept standing there, staring at that faint glow under the door, like it might change something. Then Samantha's door opened again. "Still waiting?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Guess that call's pretty serious?" She nodded. "Some people forget life happens outside the phone." "Yeah," I said, trying to smile. She gave a small shrug. "If you get tired of standing, there's a chair in here." "Thanks. I'll manage." She disappeared again, and I was left alone with the buzzing light and my half-warm groceries. 3 more minutes crawled by before the chain finally slid. The door opened, and Jenna stood there, calm as ever. "Sorry," she said. "Call ran long." That was it. No explanation. No real apology. Just a flat sorry before she walked off toward the kitchen. When I walked in, the apartment felt colder than the hallway. Not temperature-wise, just the vibe. Jenna was already in the kitchen, scrolling her phone like nothing had happened. The overhead light was too bright, making everything feel harsh. I set the groceries on the counter. The milk was warm. The frozen dinners were soft. "You could have just texted me to stay downstairs," I said, trying to keep calm. She didn't look up. "I told you I needed privacy." "By locking me out?" She sighed, like I was the one making a scene. "Mark, it was a work call. Sensitive stuff. I needed space to think without you walking around or asking me things." I looked at her, trying to process that. "You think me being in my own apartment is a distraction?" "I didn't say that." "You kind of did." She finally looked up from her phone, her expression already defensive. "You're blowing this out of proportion." It was 15 minutes. 23, I corrected automatically. She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, you timed it." I was standing in the hallway holding chicken and milk. What else was I supposed to do? Jenna dropped her phone onto the counter. "You always take everything so personally." I needed a few minutes of peace. And suddenly, I'm the villain. I rubbed my hands over my face, trying not to raise my voice. "I just don't get how you think that's normal. We live together. You don't get to lock me out." She crossed her arms. "You're making it sound worse than it is. It's not like I threw you out." The worst part was that she really believed that was a reasonable explanation. I looked around the kitchen, clean, organized, lifeless. It didn't even feel like home anymore. There was a time when this same space had been our favorite part of the apartment. I remember the night we moved in, no furniture, just pizza boxes on the floor and a half-inflated air mattress. We ate cold pizza at midnight and laughed about how grown-up we felt signing our first lease together. Back then, the place had warmth. Now, even the hum of the fridge sounded like it was trying not to make noise. "Look," she said, softer now but still annoyed. "I'm sorry if it upset you, but it's not a big deal. Can we not turn this into something?" That's what she always said whenever she wanted to avoid accountability. "Can we not turn this into something?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed on the counter. A message preview popped up from the building WhatsApp group. The name flashed, Building Residents. I ignored it at first, but it pinged again and again. Jenna glanced at it. Probably another notice about trash schedules. "Yeah," I said, distracted. But before I could check it, there was a soft knock at the door. Jenna frowned. "Who's that?" I walked over and opened it. Standing there was Samantha, holding one of the grocery bags I'd apparently left outside. "Hey," she said. "You forgot this." I blinked, realizing I really had left it behind. "Oh, thanks. I didn't even notice. I'd missed one in the hall." She smiled, casual and kind. "No problem. Figured you'd want your stuff before someone's kid grabbed it." Before I could respond, Jenna appeared behind me. Her tone shifted instantly. "We're fine, thanks," she said, stepping a little too close to me, like she needed to prove something. Samantha nodded slowly, still smiling, but polite about it. "All right, have a good night." I gave her a quick, awkward smile. "Yeah, you too. Thanks again." When I closed the door, I could feel Jenna's eyes on me. "You two seem friendly." I turned toward her. She was just bringing me a bag I left outside. "Sure," Jenna said flatly, walking back to the counter. "You're seriously mad about that?" She shrugged. "I'm not mad. Just saying. Maybe don't give the neighbors a reason to think our marriage is falling apart." I laughed once out of disbelief. You locked me out of the apartment. I think they already got the memo. Her jaw tightened. You're impossible sometimes. I didn't answer. I picked up my phone again and finally checked the WhatsApp messages. The first few were normal, someone asking about a lost package, another complaining about the elevator smell. Then one from Mrs. Chun in 3B. Can whoever's in 4B please keep it down during calls? We can hear everything through the walls. A few others chimed in, agreeing. My stomach dropped a little. Jenna had probably been on loudspeaker again, pacing around while she talked. I showed her the screen. You're literally on the group chat. She squinted at it, unimpressed. So what? People are so dramatic. It's an apartment, not a library. Yeah, but maybe you shouldn't be yelling on your calls. I wasn't yelling. They're exaggerating. The phone buzzed again. Another message, this one from Samantha. Not trying to stir things up, but it's been pretty loud lately. Maybe sound carries more at night. Jenna saw the name pop up and immediately shot me a look. Oh, of course she's involved. She's just being honest, I said. She turned away, shaking her head. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And just like that, she walked off toward the bedroom, leaving me standing there in the kitchen, surrounded by groceries that were half spoiled and an apartment that didn't feel like mine anymore. I glanced at the WhatsApp messages again, scrolling through the thread of polite complaints. At the bottom, someone wrote, "It's not a big deal. Maybe just be mindful next time." That word again, mindful. Everyone kept using it like it solved everything. I set the phone down, grabbed the bag Samantha had returned, and put the groceries away in silence. The light still felt too bright, and the air still felt cold. For a long minute, I just stood there, thinking about how something as small as a lock chain could say so much about what was left of a marriage. That night, the apartment was quiet except for Jenna typing on her laptop. I sat on the couch, the TV muted, staring at the light from the screen. The group chat notifications hadn't stopped all evening. I'd ignored them while she was in the kitchen, but when she disappeared into the bedroom, I finally opened them again. At first, it was the usual stuff. Someone lost a package, another person asking about parking. Then someone uploaded a short audio clip. Only 10 seconds, but I didn't need longer. The voice was muffled, yet I could tell it was Jenna. That clipped, confident tone she used when trying to sound in charge. Then Jenna's name popped up in the chat. This is ridiculous. I was on a professional call. Some people are just too sensitive. A pause. Then another message from her. If there's a problem, talk to management instead of gossiping in a group chat. I closed my eyes. She couldn't help herself. She always had to be right. Mrs. Chun replied calmly, "No one's gossiping. We all work, too. Just asking to keep it down after 9 p.m. It's in the lease." Then George from 5C chimed in, "Not try start anything, but this isn't the first time. The walls are thin." No one said anything for a while. Then Jenna came back with, "Maybe if people focused on their own lives, they wouldn't notice mine so much." The chat went silent after that. I sighed and set my phone down, but it buzzed again. A private message this time. From Samantha. "Hey, sorry to bother. Thought you'd want to see this before the uploader takes it down. Stuff like that doesn't stay up long. People panic and pull posts once the chat reacts." She sent screenshots of a thread, including older messages from the week before. Complaints about arguing, slamming doors, and late-night calls. Then another message from her. "Didn't mean to get involved, but you should know what's being said." I read them twice, embarrassed but also relieved. At least I wasn't imagining things. Other people had noticed the tension that filled our walls. I typed back, "Thanks. I'll handle it." Jenna's voice cut through from the kitchen. "Who keeps messaging you this late?" "People from the building," I said. She gave a short laugh. "Let me guess, more complaints." "Something like that." She crossed her arms. "People are so petty. I work from home like everyone else. God forbid I talk during a meeting." "They said it's been happening at night," I said. "Oh please," she said, rolling her eyes. "They're exaggerating. You can barely hear me from here." "I heard the clip," I said quietly. That got her attention. Clip. Someone posted a recording through the wall, probably by accident. She frowned. That's invasive. They can't just record people. They didn't do it on purpose, Jenna. It's noise. She shook her head, pacing now. Unbelievable. You know what's worse? You defending them. It's like you want to make me the bad guy. I'm not defending anyone. I'm saying maybe they have a point. I'm done talking about this, she said, picking up her laptop and walking off. The bedroom door closed, not slammed, but final. I sat there staring at the frozen TV screen. The apartment felt too still, too small. I picked up my phone again and scrolled through the screenshots Samantha had sent. The messages stretched back 2 weeks. For B again. Same time, same noise. Maybe. They're fighting. I hadn't even realized how often it happened. I'd probably been sitting right there with my headphones on while she paced and shouted through her important calls. I opened the main chat again. The last message was from a super. Please remember quiet hours start at 9 p.m. Thanks everyone. Short, polite, but directed straight at us. For a second, I thought about showing Jenna everything, but I knew how it would go. She'd dismiss it, twist it, and we'd fight until midnight. So I didn't. I leaned back into the couch. The fridge hummed. A car passed outside. The only other sound was her voice again, faint through the bedroom wall. Softer this time, but still constant. I scrolled to the private chat with Samantha. Her last message sat there, simple. Don't let her make you think you're crazy. I stared at it for a long moment before the screen dimmed. The reflection staring back didn't look angry, just tired. Tired of pretending this was normal. I turned off the TV, sat in the dark, and listened to Jenna's voice bleeding through the wall, realizing I couldn't even tell if she was on a work call or just talking to someone who actually listened. The next few days felt off in that quiet, overly polite way couples get after a fight. Jenna and I weren't arguing, but we weren't talking either. She kept things short. Morning. You ate. And I matched her tone. The air in the apartment felt heavy, like even small noises, cutlery, the fridge, footsteps, were too loud. By the following Thursday, the tension had built into something you could practically hear. I got home earlier than usual, hoping maybe we'd eat together, maybe talk. The apartment lights were on, but the place felt empty. I dropped my keys on the counter and heard her voice coming from the living room. Soft at first, then laughing. I stopped in the hallway. She was on a video call. Her laptop faced the couch, the camera angled toward her, but she didn't see me standing there. Her whole face looked different, smiling, relaxed, alive in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. Yeah, she said, laughing again. You're terrible. Stop. A man's voice replied, faint, but clear enough to tell it wasn't one of her coworkers. Something about the sound, easy, familiar, made my stomach tighten. I didn't want to eavesdrop, but it wasn't exactly private if she was laughing loud enough to echo off the walls. I cleared my throat as I stepped into the room. Her smile vanished instantly. She shut the laptop halfway, her hands hovering like she wasn't sure what to do. Hey, she said too quickly. You're home early. Yeah, I said. Who are you talking to? She blinked, too slow to hide her nerves. Just a coworker from the marketing team. We were going over next week's campaign. Sounded fun for a work call. Her jaw tightened. We were done with work stuff. He just stayed on for a minute. Right, I nodded. Didn't realize you two joked like that. Mark, don't start, she said. You always assume the worst. I didn't assume anything. I just walked in. You're twisting this into something it's not. I didn't twist anything, Jenna. I came home. You're the one acting like I caught you doing something. Her voice got sharp. You're paranoid. I can't even have a normal conversation without you reading into it. I don't care about the call, I said, calmer than I felt. I told her I don't care that I have to walk into my own house like a stranger just to figure out what version of her I'm going to get. She stood up, crossing her arms. What's that supposed to mean? It means I don't even know who you are when you're in this mode, angry, defensive, secretive. I've been trying to talk to you for months, and all I get is a wall. She scoffed. Here we go again. No, I said, not again. I'm not doing this tonight. Her voice rose. So, you're just walking away? Yeah, I said, grabbing my jacket before it turned into another argument where nobody listens. I didn't slam the door when I left, but I didn't close it quietly either. Outside, the air was cooler than I expected. The streetlights flickered on, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. Then, I went up to the roof to think. The air was cold enough to wake me up, sharp and clean compared to the stale quiet of the apartment. I leaned on the railing, looking out at the city lights. From up there, everything looked smaller, quieter. It helped put things in order. The elevator door opened behind me a few minutes later, and I heard footsteps. Samantha walked over, holding 2 cans of soda. "Didn't take you for the rooftop type," she said, handing me one. "Needed somewhere to breathe," I said. This seemed higher than pacing the hallway. She smiled. "Fair." She leaned on the railing beside me, hair shifting in the wind. "Rough night." I opened the can. "Not rough, just clear." "Clear." "Yeah," I said. "I've been giving Jenna too much room to act like I'm the problem. Tonight made it obvious. She can laugh with some guy on video, but if I ask who it is, suddenly I'm paranoid. That's not a partnership. That's a performance." Samantha nodded slowly. "So, what are you going to do about it?" "I'm not going to argue anymore," I said. "I've been trying to fix something she doesn't even think is broken. I'm done fighting for someone who keeps locking me out, literally or emotionally." She didn't say anything right away, just nodded again, thoughtful. "That's solid," she said finally. "Most people spend years figuring that out." I shrugged. "Took me long enough. I used to think patience was strength. Turns out it just teaches people how much you'll tolerate." "True." She took a sip of her drink, studying the skyline. "You don't strike me as the type who likes drama anyway." "I don't," I said, "but I've been living in it for a while." Neither of us spoke. The city hummed beneath us. Car horns, distant sirens, the low buzz of everything continuing without us. I could feel the tension finally leaving my shoulders. Samantha broke the silence. "So what now?" "I'm leaving tonight," I said simply. "Not forever. Just until I decide what I'm actually willing to accept." She turned her head toward me. "You serious?" "Yeah," I said. "There's a difference between working on a marriage and letting yourself get disrespected in one." She nodded again, but there was a small smile there, half respect, half relief. "Good for you." I pulled my phone out and opened a hotel app, scrolled until I found a cheap place a few blocks away. Nothing fancy, just a clean room and some space. I booked it, hit confirm, and slid my phone back into my pocket. "That was fast," she said. "Decision's been waiting to happen," I replied. "Just needed a push." She tapped her can against mine. "To better decisions, then." I smiled a little and tapped back. "To better decisions." For the first time in weeks, I felt calm. Not numb, not angry, just steady, like I'd finally taken my hand off something I wasn't supposed to hold anymore. Then my phone buzzed. Jenna. The name lit up the screen, vibrating in my hand. Samantha glanced over. "You going to answer?" I looked at it for a second, then pressed the side button. The screen went dark. "No. When someone shows you who they are, you don't argue. You move." Her smile widened a little. "That's a good rule." "It's the only one that works," I said. We stayed on the roof for a while longer, just watching the lights. She told me about her work, how she freelanced so she wouldn't have to deal with people like her old boss. I told her about the ridiculous IT requests I got at my job, like the guy who once spilled soup on his keyboard and blamed virus. It was the kind of small, normal conversation that feels like oxygen after months of holding your breath. At some point, I realized how long it had been since I laughed without watching someone's reaction to it. When the wind picked up, Samantha rubbed her arms. "You heading to the hotel now?" "Yeah," I said. "Time to go." She nodded. "You'll be fine, you know." "I know," I said, and I meant it. We took the elevator down together. When we reached the lobby, she stopped at the door. "If you ever need a quiet place that's not a rooftop, my door's usually open. Figuratively speaking," she added with a small grin. I smiled. "Appreciate it." She gave a small wave and headed toward the mailboxes. I stepped out onto the street. The night was cooler now, steady wind pushing at my jacket. The city noise sounded different, less like chaos, more like background music. I walked a few blocks, checked into the small hotel, and set my bag on the floor. The room was basic, single bed, old TV, humming mini fridge, but it was silent. I sat on the edge of the bed, pulled out my phone, and texted Jenna one line, taking some space. "I'll talk when there's something worth talking about." I sent it and put the phone down. For a while, I just sat there listening to nothing but the faint hum of the air conditioner. No voices, no tension, no pretending, just stillness. And for the first time in a long time, that silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. The next morning, I checked out of the hotel, grabbed a black coffee, and walked back to the building. I didn't plan to see Jenna. I just wanted to grab my mail. When I got to the lobby, there was a printed sign taped to the wall. Building meeting, noise, and conduct concerns, 10 a.m. It was 9:58. I almost kept walking, but the universe apparently has a sense of humor. The lobby was already half full. Mrs. Chun from 3B, a couple from 2A, the college kid from 4C, and Samantha standing near the back with a coffee in hand. The super was at the front, clipboard in one hand, reading off notes. "Morning, everyone," he said. "We've had a few recurring complaints about late-night disturbances, mostly on the upper floors. I just want to set some basic guidelines so everyone can keep things peaceful." Before anyone else could respond, the elevator doors opened. Jenna stepped out. She looked sharp, hair done, neutral colors, like she was going to a meeting. Her eyes found mine immediately. I could tell she hadn't expected me there. "Mark," she said, her voice low. "Can we talk upstairs later?" I said, "Let's hear what this is about." Her jaw flexed. "This doesn't concern you." "Pretty sure it does." The room went quiet except for the sound of the super clearing his throat. "We've had several noise reports from 4B, he said carefully. "Late calls, arguments, doors slamming, mostly after 10 p.m. Jenna crossed her arms. "That's exaggerated. I work from home. I take calls. Everyone works from home now." Mrs. Chun spoke up, polite but firm. "It's not the calls, dear. It's the volume, and sometimes it sounds personal." The couple from 2A nodded. "It's woken us up more than once." Jenna let out a short, humorless laugh. "So, I can't talk in my own apartment now." I stayed silent, watching her dig herself deeper. The super spoke again. "No one's saying that. We're just asking everyone to keep quiet hours in mind." "This feels targeted," she snapped. "You're all acting like I'm some kind of problem." Samantha stepped forward a little, calm but direct. "No one's attacking you. We're all just tired of the noise. That's it." Jenna turned on her. "Of course you'd have something to say." The air in the room shifted. Samantha didn't rise to it. She just looked at her evenly. "I'm saying what everyone else is thinking. You've been loud, Jenna. It's not personal, it's just reality." Jenna's voice got sharper. "Maybe everyone should stop listening through walls." That's when I finally spoke. "That's not the issue, Jenna." She turned to me. "Then what is it, Mark? You've been silent for days, and now you want to play the victim?" I met her eyes calm. "The issue is respect. You talk to everyone like they're a problem, including me. This isn't about the walls. It's about how you treat people on the other side of them." She scoffed. "Oh, so now you're some kind of saint." "No," I said. "I just stopped pretending this is normal." She crossed her arms tighter. "And what? You think embarrassing me in front of everyone helps?" "This isn't about embarrassing you," I said. "You did that yourself when you started yelling at the neighbors for asking for quiet. I'm just being honest." The super shifted awkwardly. "Maybe we should wrap this up." I cut him off, still calm. "I'll make it simple. Jenna, I'm taking more time away. Not to punish you, not to make a scene. Just because I won't live like this anymore." Her eyes flashed. "You're really walking away." "I already did," I said. "I came back for mail, not permission." A few people glanced at each other, unsure what to do with the tension filling the room. Mrs. Chun broke the silence first. "Sometimes distance helps people listen," she said softly. Jenna shot her a glare. "Thanks for the wisdom." I didn't flinch. "She's right," I said. "You don't hear anyone when they're standing next to you. Maybe you will when they stop trying." Jenna took a step closer, her voice lower now. So that's it. You're just done. I'm done with the disrespect, I said. You can either work on it or you can keep pretending I'm the problem. But I won't stand in the middle of that anymore. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she let out a quiet, bitter laugh. You think walking away makes you strong? No, I said, but it keeps me sane. That landed hard. The super cleared his throat again, awkwardly shifting his clipboard. All right, folks. Let's wrap it up. I think everyone gets the point. Quiet hours start at 9. People began to drift toward the elevators. Jenna stood there frozen for a moment, then spun on her heel and walked out without saying another word. When the room thinned out, Samantha came over. You handled that better than I would have, she said. I wasn't trying to win, I said. I just don't want to explain myself anymore. That's what winning looks like, she said, smiling faintly. I grabbed my mail from the counter, bills, a coupon flyer, and an empty envelope marked current resident. Fitting. As I walked outside, the morning sun hit the street, warm and clean. I stood there for a second, feeling the air, the noise, the movement of the city. It felt like everything was still going on, just without the weight I'd been carrying. Samantha walked out a minute later, coffee still in hand. You heading back to the hotel? Maybe, I said. Maybe somewhere better, she smiled. Good. That place looked depressing. I chuckled. Yeah, time for something with better lighting. She nodded. Good for you. I started walking down the sidewalk, the sound of her footsteps fading behind me. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't rushing to fix anything. I was just moving forward. I didn't go back to the hotel. Instead, I found a small furnished studio on the other side of town, a short-term, month-to-month sublet. Nothing fancy, just clean, quiet, and mine. The landlord handed me a single key on a plain ring. It felt like more than metal. It felt like a reset. The first night there, I didn't unpack much. I sat on the couch, scrolling through messages. Jenna had sent a few long ones full of apologies and justifications. How she'd been stressed, how I misunderstood, how she just needed space. The same words rearranged into different excuses. I typed one line back. I'm not angry. I'm just done being treated like I don't exist. Then I put the phone down and didn't check it again. The next morning, I started writing a list in a small notebook I bought on the way home. Not some self-help thing, just reminders. What I refuse, disrespect, silent treatment as control, walking on eggshells to keep peace. What I bring, stability, loyalty, calm. Reading it back, it didn't sound bitter. It sounded like someone who'd finally drawn a line. I spent most of the day setting up the new place, a few grocery items, a folding chair, a cheap coffee maker. By the time evening came, it actually felt like home. Not because it was perfect, but because there was no tension waiting behind a door. While I was boiling water in the kettle, my phone buzzed again. Samantha, you alive over there? I smiled a little. Barely. Coffee is keeping me functional. She replied right away. Progress. Don't forget to eat something real. Trying. This place has no stove yet. Then I'm ordering food. What do you want? Nothing. I'm good. That's not a real answer. I texted her my new address so she could pick somewhere close. 30 minutes later, someone knocked on my door. I opened it to find a delivery guy holding a bag. Order for Mark. There was a note taped to the bag. No arguments, just food. Inside was takeout from a place near my new apartment. I sat down and ate it right out of the container. Simple, warm, grounding. After dinner, I called Jenna. Not to fight, but to make things official. She picked up on the second ring. Mark, she said, voice tired. Thank God. I thought. Don't, I said gently. I'm not calling to rehash. I just want to be clear about where things stand. She went quiet. I've been thinking a lot, I said. About respect, about how we stopped giving it to each other. I can't go back to pretending that's okay. Her tone softened. So what are you saying? I'm saying I'm taking real time apart. No check-ins, no half-fixes, no pretending it's fine because it's familiar. If you want this to work, it has to start from scratch. No more power games. Mark, she said, voice breaking slightly, you're really walking away. I didn't raise my voice. I already did. You just didn't notice. There was a long silence. Then she said, "You're not even angry." I said. "Now I'm just done." She exhaled shakily. "I'll give you space." "Good," I said. "Take care of yourself." When I hung up, I didn't feel triumph, just calm. The kind that comes after a storm you finally walked out of. Later that night, I opened my laptop to catch up on work. The inbox was full, the deadlines annoying, but it felt good to focus on something normal. Around 10, there was a soft knock on the door. When I opened it, Samantha was standing there holding a grocery bag. "Peace offering," she said. "You already sent food. This one's just coffee and sugar, your essentials." I grinned. "You're persistent. Someone's got to make sure you don't survive on caffeine fumes." And I let her in. She set the bag on the counter, looking around. "Not bad for a start," she said. "It's quiet," I said. "That's all I needed." She nodded. "Quiet's underrated." We stood there for a moment. Not awkward, just steady. Two people who understood what it meant to rebuild. "Thanks," I said. "For everything. The food, the coffee, the talks." She shrugged. "You did the hard part. You left." I smiled. "Guess that's true." When she left a few minutes later, I locked the door behind her. Not out of habit, but because it was my door now. My space. My peace. I sat back on the couch and looked at the single key on the table. Simple, unremarkable. But it meant something real this time. No chain latch, no waiting outside, no walking on eggshells. Just one door, one lock, and me finally choosing who got to have the key. 6 months passed faster than I expected. Life didn't fall apart, it settled. The studio became a real home. A couch, a table that didn't wobble, and a stubborn plant that refused to die. I kept renewing the sublet. Work improved, and I stopped checking my phone every time it buzzed. Jenna texted for a few weeks. Apologies, promises, excuses. I never replied, and eventually she stopped trying. Mrs. Chun said the walls were quieter. One evening, I ran into Samantha near the train station, paint on her hands from a mural gig, and that same calm smile. "Still surviving, without my coffee deliveries?" she teased. "Barely," I said. She laughed. "Good. Means you're still human." We got coffee, caught up, talked about work, life, her cat. When she asked how I'd been, I told her the truth. Better. Not perfect, but better. She smiled. "You look it." That night, walking home, I passed buildings that looked like my old one. For a second, I pictured myself standing outside that locked door. I didn't feel angry anymore, just grateful I'd left. Back in my studio, I dropped my keys on the counter. The silence wasn't lonely now. It was mine. No chain to slide, just a door that opens from the inside. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube, this video deserves to blow up.